Hey everyone, welcome back to Master of the Wind, and Happy New Year. Sorry, it's been a while, but you know, holidays are busy, and I had a lot going on, a lot of people visiting and such, but we're picking up just after the Sparrow fight, where Shroud's lost the manuscript. And it's quite a blow, too, because he's done so much to get it. Spent so much time at the monastery and everything, and then only to have it swiped from him before they could even get back home. So it's a humbling moment for Shroud. And pretty classic Spider-Man moment, too, really. I mean, just sometimes in Spider-Man comics, there was this... I talked about this a little bit last time too, I think, but there was this sense of futility that would come up, which is, you know, especially back in the day, it was not that wasn't typical for a superhero comic. I mean, you know, Superman rarely felt a sense of futility. He was so powerful, but Spider-Man was, you know, he had his powers, but you know, he was always poor and, you know, young and not sure, like, what to do a lot of the time. And he always tried, but a lot of times things would still work out against him anyway. And it sounds depressing, but it was never too depressing. It made the comics resonate because, you know, people, you could identify with that. At least I could. Those feelings. And I think that's partly why the character got to be so popular back then. But now we've got Everend, and we're gonna fight him. And Shroud, of course, feels bad, because he's done to Everend what happened to him, more or less. That's a point that gets expounded on a little bit later. But for now, we got this fight here, and originally, I think, and I may be wrong about this, I'm not sure if it was always like these foreman guys who were with Everend in this fight. I think we might have had knights with him, or maybe not. But the point was, either way, to have, you know, to use, you know, the battlers again, the two battlers, and where am I going with this? Right, well, at this point when we were making the game and we were realizing that you know, the cast was increasing so much, and the scale of the story was increasing so much in this arc, that it was putting, you know, we were putting a lot on Anchor to do. It's actually, I don't think you know, I'm not sure we even had this Everend battler until Arc 6, where you know, he comes back, and that's a little bit of a spoiler, but you know, not too bad. And so, thankfully, we were able to go and plug it in Arc 3. But the point was, you know, we realized that we should be efficient with the battlers that we already had. We should find multiple uses for the ones that Anchor had finished, so that we wouldn't have to keep asking for new ones every time, you know, the heroes fought somebody. And you'll see more of that, like in the Ice Temple, which is the next major dungeon. There's like a snow wolf, and it was originally going to be a snow leopard. But, you know, there's a lot of bad guys in the Ice Temple. There's a lot of different looking monsters, and Anchor did most of them, and we decided that, you know, the snow leopard could be a wolf instead. And we already had a wolf battler from Tear Mountain, you know, the ones that come in and heal the kobolds. And so all it took was just a little quick recoloring of that battler, and then we had a snow wolf. So that was the kind of thing that we did to to use the battlers better. Because, when you don't have a budget, that's the shit you got to think about. I don't remember this fight being so tough. And the music is also the same as the Deacon fight. It's a song that sort of plays only for this family. And, it begs the question, does Master of the Wind have like a dedicated boss music? And the answer is not really. We kind of cycle through 4 or 5 different songs. Like there's an Apocalyptica song that plays for a lot of the fights with hand officers, and then we have one that's usually Solik and basically most other like undead adversaries, and then we have a kind of other one that plays for like the one that played for the Zala fight. You'll hear again. So it's sort of we sort of cycle through a few of them. So it's it's kind of funny that it worked out that way. Like Clean Slate, there was a. Well, I had two boss themes in Clean Slate. It was kind of like I modeled it after Chrono Trigger. What I liked about the Chrono Trigger soundtrack, among other things, was that you'd have the regular boss song, and then every once in a while, you'd get like the big boss song. And when you heard that one, you're like, "Oh shit! This is the big. This fight's going to be a big deal." And that's a cool feeling. So I sort of used that for Clean Slate. I had the regular boss song, and then I had the kind of bigger boss song. In addition to some special songs for a handful of special adversaries. But this game didn't even have anything as organized as that. It was just cycling through several songs. Oh, bye. There you go, that's some good stuff. We all leveled up, too. And contrary to what some reviewers may tell you, there is no battle music. Let's just get that out of the way. And, I don't want to rehash the whole thing again, but it's almost a meme now among the Master of the Wind production team, anyway. So we have Ketsu finding Everin, and now we're cutting back to Solik, who we haven't seen in a while. And this is a section that relies pretty heavily on the Clean Slate storyline. It's. I made sure that it was comprehensible. If you hadn't played Clean Slate, because like nobody had. But I think if anybody here has watched the Let's Play, this particular scene will seem a lot richer, I think, because you recognize the names of the people he mentions. But I'll clarify them now too as they come up, just because what am I here for if I'm not doing that? So Ketsu's talking about the famous Thanatos Mephisto thing, which Sod learned about in the Monastery. And even though they get into a little bit of a spat about Volrath Blacksteel's legacy, they eventually start talking about the more recent events. And Ketsu scolds him, and Solik just fucking shrugs him off, which is really it's a good thing to do when you get scolded. A lot of times it's better than actually trying to argue back. So Britzis Cone, of course, was a playable character in Clean Slate, and while Arius and the main crew left their town Guardia to hunt Lysander, or to try and stop Lysander, the Withered Fang cult attacked them, which was kind of a radical sect of Arcadiism, if that's a word. And this reveals this, and Solik just says that Anna was Ariel Delefson's apprentice. Now, Ariel, of course, was a was one of the main villains in Clean Slate, and you'll be seeing. Well, she'll be around. I think most people watch this know that. But this is the first time that Solik revealed that Anna was her apprentice at some point, which explains how she came into knowledge of the spell, which of course she uses several times during the Wyvern Fang story arc. So it was a chance for me to kind of fill in a few little plot holes in Clean Slate, because at that time I hadn't really thought through all this stuff about the resurrecting people and necromancy and all that. I don't think I treated it with the sort of significance that it deserved. Just because it's the pursuit of returning somebody fully back to life is a big part of this game, and in Clean Slate it wasn't really. So I just sort of had it in there and without really considering its implications. So this was a chance to make the two games cohere a little better in that regard. And this scene ends with Carrie reading his mind. He wasn't yet aware that she was the telepath. She just thought she was like Ketsu's, second in command or whatever, which she pretty much is. But she's also a telepath, and Ketsu's certainly not above using her as a human lie detector test. Although telepathy can be blocked if you know it's coming, which of course he didn't. But that's done a few times during the game too, and he's sore about that. And then we get to check in with Rana, this is her first appearance this arc, if I'm not mistaken. Going over the Stoic thing, of course. I don't think that. Yeah, Solik doesn't know exactly who Rana was dealing with at this point. If he did, I think he'd be much more interested. But they'll meet each other soon enough. And I think there's another cutscene after this one, or yeah, there is. And this was something that began to come up at this point in the game too. It's the world is expanding so much, like I said, and enough characters. Oh no, I guess not. Now we're back here. But point is that the world's expanding, the cast is expanding, and it takes more time now to keep track of everyone, to keep the audience informed on all of the characters that are important to the story. You have to cut away a lot, which depending on how you feel about the balance of story and gameplay in a game like this, could be an unfortunate trend. But I don't know. I think a lot of people. I mean, this isn't even the heaviest it gets as far as cutscenes. I mean, we'll get to Arc 5 eventually, and then we can talk plenty about that. But I think for the most part, people were invested enough in the story at this point, because we're like, what? I mean, I'm going kind of fast because I know how to do everything, but typically, I don't know, 12 hours in at this point, maybe less. And so you'd like to think that if they're still playing it, that that they're pretty invested in the story. So ideally, they're okay with more cutscenes, more dialogue. And for an RPG, I think a certain level of that is expected. And it's it's just the way, just what I like to do. Labyrinth and Dreams was interesting in the sense that it's not particularly heavy on dialogue. there's a sense of like many of the themes being communicated by the puzzles themselves, which is something that Mark holds in pretty high regard, and something he wanted to accomplish with that game, which we did. I believe. I mean, reviews are pretty good, so people seem to like it. But, I couldn't help but think like, there are plenty of other scenes I could have done with Beth and Artie and stuff to flesh them out more. I mean, I guess in a sense I had X-Noir to do that, since they're supporting characters in X-Noir. And what do you think about that one, by the way? Do you guys want me to do a Let's Play of that someday? I don't think I'll do it too soon after this one, just because this is going to take a long time at the pace I'm going, and I'll probably want a break. But would you guys want to see that someday? Because I'll do it if there's any kind of audience. So, and then we have an important moment for Auburn here. She's going to be coming to Boreal with us. And here we have this is a dream. I mean, I think people can figure that out right away when they see Little Sod. And Rain expresses some interest in kind of breaking the traditional rules of magic, which is, of course, makes you wonder. There's a lot of I'll talk about that in a minute, but for now, the dream, this is what I was saying before, that Sod understands, much better than everyone thinks, what he's going through. And then we have this sort of my attempt at surrealism here with, Everett, Deacon, and Rain all converging on him. Perfect storm of guilt and loss, and just a unpleasant dream all around. And at this point in the game, this is probably, we're getting pretty heavy on the building the Sparrow mystery too, in terms of who Sparrow is. And like I said, that's probably the biggest spoiler in the game. So I don't know if anybody's watching this who doesn't already know. But just in case, I'm not gonna spill the beans until the time comes. But it is, obviously perfectly innocent to say that there's a lot of scenes in this part of the game that are meant to draw the player's attention to potential suspects. And of course, most of them will turn out to be, not the guy. But just fun to do, just fun to get people speculating. And I can't remember if I told this story or not. I might have. So if I have, forgive me. But I remember there was on the Master of the Wind thread on the old RPG. What was it? What the hell is the name of that forum? Oh yeah, rmxp.org. Wow, I can't believe I forgot it. I used to be in the forum all the time years ago. But now I couldn't even remember the URL. But there was a pretty long thread for Master of the Wind there, and a lot of people would speculate about the Sparrow, which is always fun to watch, especially when you get people who would write 6 paragraphs and going into all the suspects. That shit was so satisfying to read. Even if they were all completely wrong. But I remember somebody listed Gino as a suspect, which was kind of funny because I didn't have any intention of making anybody suspect Gino. I don't mind telling you guys that he's not the Sparrow. But then and then somebody else read that and kind of agreed with me and was like, there's no way it's Gino. I bet you, $100 it's not Gino. And then, somebody else wrote to me and said, if you haven't done the scene where Sparrow's unmasked yet, you can make an easy $100 off that guy and make him Chino, which would have been funny. But the integrity of the story is worth more than $100, I guess. And now we're on the ship, and you can talk to everybody and have some conversations. And I like the music in the scene. It only gets used in this one area, but it's good atmosphere in my opinion. And this was another thing we got away from though a little bit. In the same way that we wanted to be as efficient with the battlers as we could. As this game got bigger, we realized that all the MP3s were really blowing up the file size. So in the later arcs, we, at least in the last couple, Arc 5's could have its own fucking soundtrack. It's got so much different music, but we started to try and use, the songs for multiple purposes. Just because we had so many, and so many of them were beautiful, that it's a shame to only use them once. But I didn't get a chance to use this one again. And Violet's here too. I don't know if that was foreshadowed or not. I don't know if I didn't go talk to her. I don't know if she could find her around town at that point. But Stoic's looking forward to Boreal, but he's a little out of touch. We'll find that out. A little expensive. Yes, I was unhappy to hear that. And he's still kind of concerned about Emma, even though, he's not really pursuing her anymore. It's an LD. Oh, that's so obnoxious. He's obnoxious sometimes. He's so. I guess they are money grubbing slime balls, but there's something about the way he just busts that out, in this random conversation that's just kind of obnoxious. So I guess it's easier to understand why some people get so put off by him. But I don't know. I think that makes it. I still think that makes it more interesting, to have a lead character that you don't always agree with. Because where's the fun in that? But I don't know. It's high risk because people think that you just, having the character be a mouthpiece for your politics, which isn't true. In a broad sense, I agree with that. Businesses shouldn't be shady. If they can help it, anyway. And now Gino's calling him out on his cheapness. Hey, he came from kind of a poor farming family, so you just learn to pinch pennies. If you grow up anybody who's experienced, certainly real poverty, or even the kind of middle class poverty, which I'm not poor, but you still always worry about money because I'm not rich either. It's just if you've ever really had to worry about money in your life, that some part of that stays with you. You have a grandparent, my wife's grandmother, who lived through Depression and all that, and eventually her grandfather was ran a car place or something and did well for himself, and so they, by the end of their lives, they were very comfortable. But if you when we went to visit them at the old folks home, when they were towards the end of their lives, if you looked in the fridge, you know, the little shelves on the door, they would all be stuffed with like little things of butter that you could get at the from the tables in the dining room. So the old lady was just swiping butter all the time, and just in case they needed it, even though they certainly had enough to go out to Stop and Shop and buy some butter. And now we're back with the Teutons, and Pilk is going on at length about semiotics. Now this stuff is direct from my my cinema studies classes in college. I'm glad I used it for something, because we got real deep into this shit, and so I was happy to have a chance to kind of regurgitate some of it for this game. And this is one of my a little comic bit that I like pretty well, where Pilk turns into Grinfrack and mocks him. But the funny thing is that he's still speaking in his like Queen's English with no contractions, and using words like oaf or witless, whereas Grinfrack would just be calling everybody like dumb or stupid. And so we got our update in the Teutons, and there's another one coming too, I think, which is what I was saying about the expanding world, is that now we have to check in at the Monastery to see what they're up to, and we just have more of these reference points to keep going through as the game goes on. And Celine's having a moment here where she's sort of overcome her timid nature to express her concern. And I wonder, Gabriella makes an offer for Celine to come, and she says no. But it's interesting to think about if anything would have been different if she did. So I don't know. That'd be a fun thing to do at some point, actually, just sort of, go through like some of the alternate possibilities, what if. It'd be hard to do now without spoiling stuff, but it's funny to think about. All right, so we're here in Boreal. Probably a good time to end soon. And here we get the clue that Auburn knows natural fire magic. Well, it's not a clue really, but it's just it explains why she's dressed like that. And all right, well, I guess, yeah, let's go then. Yeah, so this is a good ending point, and we'll do some more stuff in Boreal next time. All right, peace, guys. Bye.